What's up, fuckers? This is Devin on the Avarice channel, Avarice Trading on YouTube, Avarice Podcast. However you found me, wherever you found me, here we are. Hope you're liking what you see. So, I'm back at you with another movie commentary today. Gonna be doing Halloween 6, the theatrical release, the final cut, not the producer's cut, not that version. I do have some things about that version that I prefer and like. But since this is the one that was released, mass released, and the one that is considered part of the lore, this is the one I'm going to go with as my series of reviews. Maybe when I get to the end of the Halloweens, I will do the producer's cut, or maybe if these start to pick up a considerable amount of traction and there's demand for it. But at this point, I'm doing these basically just to humor myself and get it out. So, yeah, that's where we are with it. Halloween 6, what to say? Halloween 4 started us down a path with Jamie having a connection to Michael psychically, and there being this, the evil can be transferred type thing, and the thorn tattoo comes up in the 5th one, and the man in black, and even more of a psychic connection. And they kind of left themselves with nowhere to go after that. So this one, Halloween 6, was actually written by a fan named Daniel Ferrens, I believe. Sorry if I got that wrong, dude. So he tried to pick through all the various movies and sequels and storylines, etc., and try to make sense of it and come up with a cohesive story that could fit in with the others, somewhat explain Michael, and continue on. What we got was a bit of a chopped up mess that didn't make a lot of sense at times and left us in a dark place to which we never really recovered from. If you've never done this before or listened to one of these before, I'm going to play the movie. You can play it along at home, or you can just listen in the audio form. You'll be able to slightly hear the movie playing in the background. And if you're a fan, you'll know the cues, etc. I'll give you a few minutes to get situated, get oriented, and then we're gonna get down. I'll smoke a little weed, do a little dance, and make love to your ears tonight. So yeah, while you're getting ready, Halloween 6, oh man, it is a fun one. Okay, so I've got this queued up on my PS4 here. We will hit play in 3, 2, 1, play. So the dimension thing's popping up, we're starting. Without a hitch, everything's going great so far. So yes, if you're new to... Oh, motherfucker. I just spilled coffee on my hand. Great way to start. So, if you're new to this, I've been doing the entire Halloween series. I started with 2018, then I went back to the original, and I'm progressing through chronologically. I skipped Halloween 3 because there's no Michael. Once I get to the end, now that I'm getting more comfortable doing this and had a little bit of a chance to let it absorb, I'm going to redo the commentary for 2018, and then we'll move on to whatever else. Doesn't have to be series, doesn't have to be horror, doesn't have to be movies. Open to suggestions, otherwise I'll come up with my own. Please and thank you are the magic words. So right now, we're in this kind of fever dream moment. You don't really know what's going on. We got this like Dungeons and Dragons fucking weird overlord shit in outfits. These people in hospital gowns. We're in some kind of a warehouse or underground structure. We find out later this is Jamie. This is Danielle Lewis's character. So they're trying to have some story continuity through 4, 5, and now 6. And she's having a baby. It's never revealed in this one who the father of the baby is or where the baby come from. So, like Billy Bob Thornton. Where that baby come from? You like this man? I think he like you. I think you love him. I think you fix him some mustard and biscuits. Some folks call it a sling blade. I call it a Kaiser blade. Anyway, so she's in labor. She's screaming. This is kind of over the top. Again, starting with number 4, we lose a certain quality in the lighting and just the way everything is shot. I don't know. I know that Panavision was used for the first 2. I don't know what type of filming equipment post-production they used for 4, 5, and 6. But I know that John Carpenter used the top of the line in that regard for the first one. And the director who filmed the second one wanted it to be seamless and seem like it was actually the same night. So he used those same methods. See, we now have the narration by Paul Rudd trying to explain the thorn and Michael's relationship to it and the curse of the thorn. These guys in their fucking outfits and the way this room is all set up. And the baby already has dried blood on him. And now this dipshit's gonna take that knife and dip it in more blood and pretend like he's drawing that on there. And the baby moves and he accidentally actually touches it. And then he has to smear off his mistake. That looks like an actual knife. And it's just next to this baby. Like, was there any reason to have the knife there? He's already got the mark on him. It doesn't play well enough like it is. Like, this seems dangerous. It seems like you wouldn't be allowed to do this. You get sued. He's just pretending to touch this baby with this. You see, the baby moved, and what if they sliced the baby open right there? In the producer's cut, this is narrated by Loomis, which I like the idea of better, but honestly, his delivery is off when he's reading it. He's not putting emphasis in the right spots. He almost sounds tired. So it seems like the writer of this was very familiar with the novelization of the original Halloween. That had a lot of the novelization of the original Halloween had a lot of backstory about ancient Ireland and the Druids and the curse, and how that cursed being came to kind of influence Michael, and Michael has these urges that are so. There's a lot borrowed from that and put in this. So he didn't come up with this ridiculous explanation all on his own. It seems like a lot was borrowed from the novelization of the original. I go 2 ways about the musical score, the guitars and the craziness, because it does play well sometimes, but in the producer's cut, they just used a lot of the original score, and I like that too. Now we see Michael for the first time. Boom! Back to the mask being tucked in after Halloween 5, the untuckening. That's a badass kill, but I always wondered why there's a spike in the fucking wall. But then again, this is like their area for handling Michael and producing their evil. So Michael looks better than the last movie, but he does look a bit frumpy. He's like, when he leaned to the side there, his hip shot out and stuff. Like, he didn't do it as robotic as Nick Castle did. So this is actually George Wilbur playing the Shape. He was the Shape in Halloween 4, and then did not play the Shape in Halloween 5 and was brought back for 6. A lot of the problems with 4 were the mask. There's also parts where he does look kind of dumpy and his shoulders look off. He doesn't have those issues, at least not as bad in this one. It is a better portrayal of the Shape. It's the best one we've had since Halloween 2. The mask is much better. It's not as good as the originals. It still has some flaws. The texture's kind of wrong. It's a little bit too contoured. The hair's not quite right in length and the hairline, but it's a definite improvement from the droopy ass melted one from 5. Michael's vicious in this one. Like the last movie, he's just, everything about his movements and all that was just wrong. The way he held the knife, the way the mask was, the way it looked, the way it wasn't tucked in, the way he stalked in kind of plain sight, like it was all garbage. So this is a drastic improvement in that regard. The portrayal of Michael is a lot better. It's just the way that the story was going and the way that they tried to fix it all gets fucked up. It says 45 Lampkin Lane here, which is actually the address given by the deputy in Halloween 2. When he's calling over, he says, I got a situation, 45 Lampkin Lane, the old Myers house. So I like that he was a fan, so he knew that. So he made the house 45 Lampkin Lane. So this is the old Myers house. If you know that address by memory, then you know this is the Myers house without them having to spell it out. And this kid has kind of a weird connection the way that Jamie did, but it's not to Michael, but it's a voice. And that voice is very similar to what they describe in the novelization of the original as Michael hearing before he kills Judith. And basically it's this urge that he has, this sensation, this voice that keeps, and it gets to kind of this fever pitch. And essentially he kills Judith because he thinks that'll satisfy it and it'll make it go away. And it only makes it worse. So you're kind of seeing this kid is almost like the new Michael, and this is what Michael was going through when he was a boy in the first one. So they kind of took Michael's backstory from the novelization of the original Halloween, and they tagged it onto Danny in this, because Michael's already grown. So they're kind of getting they're kind of getting Michael's whole backstory in one movie, but you don't know that. You'd have to be like a deep fan to know that the way they married those two. So if you could picture Danny being Michael when he was young, and then, of course, the Shape being Michael when he's older. If you can picture it, time not being linear, and like they exist in the same place at the same time. It's almost like Danny is the super young Michael, and Michael, the Shape, is the older Michael. This psycho bitch is listening to, or talking about how she wants to fuck Michael on the radio show, the crazy radio show, the kind of Howard Stern-esque radio show that they use as a centerpiece of this. That's Paul Rudd in his first movie. This was actually filmed before Clueless, but released afterwards. So Clueless was the first release that he was in, but this was filmed first. He's got a super dope stereo. See, we now know that he's a character from a previous movie, but we're not exactly sure which one. But he's obsessed, kind of the way Loomis is. People who observe it seem to become obsessed with it, even the ones who survive. We learn later that's Tommy Doyle, who was blonde, the blonde-haired little boy in the first one that Laurie was babysitting, who did survive. So as I've said before, we start off with, let's picture a skeleton, and that skeleton is made up of all the different pieces that went into making the first film. You got John Carpenter there, Deborah Hill there, Nick Castle, Jamie Lee Curtis, Donald Pleasance. All those pieces come together to construct this skeleton that is Halloween. And as we move through the sequels, you start taking pieces away from that skeleton. So we lost John Carpenter directing and Nick Castle playing the Shape in the second one, and then we lose John Carpenter writing, and we lose I believe we lose Deborah Hill producing, and we lose Jamie Lee Curtis, and now in this one we've lost Rachel, and we've lost Danielle Harris, and we're just getting strung down, and this skeleton is slowly becoming unrecognizable. We have Michael and Loomis, which I guess is the skull. I know the skull is only one piece, but I'm trying to think of what other thing is the most important, because those two are kind of the through line, even though they don't ever really focus on that. They never really make it about Michael and Loomis, but they're the two constants. They were always there. Donald Pleasance was there. Pardon. If they had focused it on that relationship, you could have got 5 movies of, excuse me, at least a few movies. If you started with 4 and focused it on Loomis, you could have got the continuity of the next 3, where Donald Pleasance is in all of them and he's been in since the beginning. And the way he would be able to develop that character would be amazing. So, sometimes I get sidetracked. We're going back to the movie here. She just tried to call 911 and it said due to the weather, all the emergency phone lines are down. She's going to hear the phone number on the radio and then call that number. I guess that works because it's in Chicago. It's a syndicated radio station. The Barry Sims. This guy's got kind of a douchebag, but he's super reminiscent of what people liked in that era. Jerry Springer was popular, and fucking Howard Stern. I don't think the Man Show was around yet. No, it wasn't, because Corolla was just getting on Loveline in '95.
Bam, I want you to come back to Smithsgrove.
You should know that it's not wise.
Loomis is now he said that he got skin grafts to get rid of the scars, which is something that somebody at his age would probably never do. I guess they just didn't want to spend the money on the effects.
I don't want to practice medicine anymore.
A lot of these Halloween movies, it seems like they just didn't care enough to spend enough money to make them right. Or the money they had was just spent incorrectly. I mean, John Carpenter did make the first one for basically nothing. And the second one followed suit. Higher budget, but not over the top. And then it seems like 4, 5, and 6 just don't do as good of a job to me. 4 being the best of that trio by far. And this one being better than 5. 5's one of the worst. So she's called into the radio station. They think she's a kook, but Tommy and Dr. Loomis happen to be listening and heard. Loomis is taping the program because it's about Haddonfield, because he's obsessed. And I assume that that's the same reason Tommy's listening, if he doesn't listen to that station casually to begin with. So she's down in the bus station bathroom. This is the emptiest open bus station I've ever seen in my life. With the cleanest mirrors. Those mirrors would be scratched to fuck if they were even still on the wall at a real bus station. And the power goes out. Michael started this trend in 2. He became one of the guys who... That became like a cliched horror film thing almost. The power gets cut and the phone lines are cut. Again, he does look much better, and it had to be so invigorating coming from 5 for people who were jumped back into this one. It's just like, oh my god, he actually has his mask tucked in, and it's not all the structure, the shape is right. I don't know what the fuck they were doing on Halloween 5, but that was trash. The whole production of that film was just shit. Everything that the director told them to do was wrong. For one, he told Donald Shanks not to watch any previous Halloween movies because he didn't want him to have a preconceived notion of what Michael Myers should be played like. Well, if you're going to try to make a movie that goes in continuity with all the other ones, shouldn't he be somewhat similar to, he was so far off that it just sticks out like a sore thumb. He's the Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer of the fucking shapes, but not in a good way. He's the fucking black sheep, I should say. I have a big TV and a high quality version of this, and it really looks like there's 2 people in the van when Michael pulls up behind her, and the guy doesn't look like he's wearing a mask. I mean, I doubt you could drive safely wearing the mask, but get his face out of the shot for fuck's sake. There's writing on the side of the van he's driving. You can't read it there, but it says like Smith County Sanitarium or something to that effect. And that van would reappear later in the movie, but they don't show you. It looks like the radio guy gets into his van, but he actually gets into that van and Michael's in it and kills him. So he just chased her down and made her crash, and then I guess he drove around the block. fact that she can do this right after giving labor is amazing. I guess it's that survival instinct, that mother shit. Like a mother with her cubs. The scene with all the pumpkins and stuff is great. This really feels like Halloween. I'm not sure where this was filmed, if it's in Salt Lake like the others. The first two were Pasadena. The next two, 4 and 5, were Salt Lake. And I like that we're in a barn with all this farm equipment, but he doesn't do any of the cliched pitchforks or anything like that. Which the last one did, which was weird because it seemed so out of place for Michael. Now, is that her paranoia, or was he actually there? And is she still psychically connected to him? Where did that go? The fact that they didn't get Danielle Lewis to do this kind of sucks. But I really like that she was in the Rob Zombie ones, and that probably wouldn't have worked out if she had been in this and been killed. Okay, that was really him. He at least looks like Michael. For the first time since 2, it at least looks like Michael. Which I guess is good on them for bringing George Wilbur back, and he did a good job. Not everybody's going to be Nick Castle. They just captured lightning in a bottle that day. Motherfucker! Oh! He rape choked her onto the apparatus there. It's kind of Pitchfork-like. But this is super... This fucking... Michael's vicious in this one. Like, he actually is playing mind games. He reaches out like, oh yeah, you want some? And then just, bitch! Fuck your couch. You'll never get the baby, Michael. Can't have the baby, Michael. See, in certain shots, the mask almost looks to have a lavender type tint. I feel like it needs to be a little bit whiter and a little bit smoother. Not as white as Halloween 4, but I feel like they did a little bit of embellishment on it. And then Michael's gonna come out and he's like, damn, y'all can afford shop towels? Now we come back, and we're at 45 Lambkin Lane. People are terrorizing this family. This dad is, I mean, he's meant to be an asshole, but I feel like he's a pretty good character. He's a better character in the producer's cut. But this is how I would be pissed if this is exactly how I would be acting. So the backstory is that this is Laurie Strode's uncle, her dad's brother. This house was never sold after Michael killed his family in it, and they got it from that he got it from his brother cheap because nobody's ever wanted to live there, and he knows, but his family doesn't know. So the town terrorizes them and decorates the yard with Michael Myers shit. It's kind of weird that his wife doesn't ask him why they get targeted in that way. Later in the movie, she's totally shocked to find out that that was Michael's house.
This is the famous Tim Strode stomach pounder. Down for the challenge?
There's a lot of build up to this in the producer's cut that is cut out. Essentially what I figured out that they did is the ending of the producer's cut sucked balls. And they had a lot of character development stuff at the beginning that was pretty decent. It helped a lot with the interaction with these people, but they cut it out so that they could make the ending longer and better and add some scenes. So I get the give and take of what they did, but a lot of the understanding and explanations are missing because of the cuts they made.
What are they teaching you in college these days? The art of going crazy?
Yeah, what do you see today?
Living in this house is enough to drive anyone crazy.
Oh, yeah? Well, who the hell asked you to come back here in the first place?
Today in college, they teach you the art of being so upset by everything that you can't function.
Danny to school.
Doesn't show her face around her own family for 5 years, then comes back and expects us to roll out the red carpet. Do you think going to college is going to make up for your mistakes, girl? Huh?
Please.
They offer, Dad.
It's kind of how dads are.
Please, John,
I can't deny that I would say the same thing to my kid. I wouldn't say the bastard remark or anything like that, though. I wouldn't go that far.
Slipping her the cash.
But
You know, while you're at it, I got a great idea.
see, they cut her mom sliding money across the table there, which makes this play so much better.
Nothing ever changes, does it? You can speak up.
I got news for you, girl.
That kid's got the bowl cut that everybody had in the 90s.
You landed
I had that exact haircut probably at this time.
bastard.
I was like just under 10 years old then. I was like 8, I think, 9.
I see only one
7.
bastard in this house.
6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Let's book.
You shut up and stay out of this.
John, please don't.
Don't you ever talk to me like that again, and so help me God. You understand?
This is a healthy family. I feel like they underreact to this kid holding, like, they don't tell him this is wrong or explain to him how dangerous this is. They're just kind of like, give me the knife. You know that he didn't hurt me, right? Okay.
Give me the knife, Danny.
This kid's a fucking psychopath. You're way too calm about this. Denial, man. She doesn't want to believe her kid could be the psycho, but he is. Jesus. How long is that t-shirt? This is baggy clothes at its height.
God, another episode of Father Knows Best at the Roadhouse. What the hell happened?
So many people in this movie have blue eyes. It's kind of crazy. Just notice, whenever they show somebody's face, check and see if they have blue eyes. Almost everybody has blue eyes.
Why do we have to be the ones to organize?
I don't know why. I'm not trying to draw some kind of correlation or even explain it. It's just an observation. Hers look kind of green, actually.
I love you, Danny. Give me a squeeze.
She's just trying to do what's best for her kid, I know, but that environment. Oh, they cut out the part in the producer's cut. She tells him, you know Grandpa didn't hurt me, right? Or something to that effect. And the kid says, yeah. And I totally disagree with that sentiment. And so I'm kind of glad they cut it, because you're teaching that kid that it's okay to hit your daughter or women because, oh, she's going to be fine. My mom was fine when she got hit. It's fine. Everything moves on. It's fine. Like, it's not a good message to send. Tommy is super fucking creeper. He's almost a Michael.
He rates about a 13. Supposedly some scary shit happened to him when he was a kid.
And the fact that he's so blatant about it, like he gives zero fucks. He's not worried about people's perception of him at all. This guy's like totally just a caricature of a person that existed in that point in time. I think it's cool. This fucking bitch is incredibly talented at pretending to be deaf. Paul Rudd's a little bit over the top, but it's like just the right amount of crazy. It works. And goddamn, he's beautiful. Wearing that shirt tucked in with no belt. He recorded this shit on a reel-to-reel. Like, how extravagant do you need to get for recording a little radio show?
Dr. Lewis, are you out there? Can you hear me, Dr. Lewis? I need your help. God, please help.
He's got all these articles up on the wall. Michael Myers, dead or alive. So they're implying that they're trying to go with what happened in 5, where the man in black busted him out. And nobody has found him since. Nobody knows where he is. If he's dead or alive. But he managed to catch on there that there was the bus announcement. I don't know how he heard that. And then he isolated it and turned it up.
Sure did. Are you looking for someone? Thank you.
He's so fucking creepy. Like, we know where he's coming from, but it is like if you were just one of these people observing him or that he interacts with, he would seem like such a weirdo. He's disturbed, as it were. It's cool that they worked the Tommy Doyle character back in this way, but if he was still living in the town and then moved right across the street from the Myers house, you kind of feel like the story and him would have interacted in some way already. Like, yeah. That's the beautiful thing about horror franchises. They'll just go back through the past and go, this person didn't die, and they'll try to create an offshoot off that. Whole new branch of storylines or whatever. This fucking bus station, it must be in Gresham, Oregon, because there's just puddles of blood all over the floor that have been there for at least 12 hours. There's a baby in this cupboard that babies don't go more than a half an hour without crying, and that's only if they're fed and slept and already shit themselves. So nobody's been using this bathroom to shoot up or fuck or pay somebody $10 for a toothless blowjob or anything.
Okay, man. It's okay.
No, this guy's just gonna walk. He's just gonna walk out of here with this crying baby that he didn't show up with, and nobody's concerned about it. And now we go with the really hitting it hard with the Thorn logo. Michael actually burned the Thorn logo into this hay, and Loomis knows what it is. Michael has a trademark like a professional wrestler. Everybody in the crowd has t-shirts. Michael 316 and a thorn. I don't like how it sounds like this song is being played out of a little shitty boombox in the park. The original the producer's cut had Halloween score, the original Halloween score playing through this, or some of it. Kind of that eerie, anticipatory score. This just is so... This song is so dated, and just the quality of it is not great. And you know that they had to pay to license it. They use it at the end credits for that reason, I'm positive, because they had to pay for it, so they're like, fuck it, use the shit out of it.
I think it's cool.
Dude. That's what most people think Keanu Reeves sounded like in the 90s. Back in the Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure days, like that was the joke. He was just, oh, dude. Actor. My precious.
I need to see a doctor.
What seems to be
He goes so over the
My
top.
baby, there's been an accident.
Wait for it.
Get me a doctor!
Like that would ever work. Just screaming at the front desk lady. How do you know it's Dr. Loomis? Dr. Loomis has changed it up. He's got like a Woolrich gray tweed jacket now.
I don't know you, do I?
His hair is much grayer, he's much balder, and his face is rounder.
Lori Strummy, Jamie's mother, was babysitting me the night when Tommy died.
These two, most likely, if this were real, would have interacted already. The way that we know that Loomis would have been pursuing Michael and investigating everything, you think that he would have talked to Tommy multiple times since then, just because he's so obsessed about trying to gain new information. Did I say that was Woolrich? I think that's a Pendleton. I think that's a Pendleton wool jacket.
Family, relatives of the people who adopted Lori, Strode's.
And he's got the scarf. He's so dignified.
That Loomis about Michael. It's just a theory of mine.
Damn, Loomis really was retired. He's retired.
Meet me tonight.
Retired. He's completely uninformed of all of this. He doesn't know somebody lives in the Myers house now. Watch this. Outside, she's going to have on Nike Airs. And when she goes in the house, she's going to swap them out real quick for some Sassanies. And then when she goes back outside, she's going to swap them back for Nike Airs. See, look at those Nike Airs. Those beautiful bastards. Those containers that everybody seems to love and I fucking hate. I Hate those lids. Especially because they always stack them and there's too much in them, and so they start to sag in the middle of the top. So I guess Michael was just standing out in plain sight watching her. He did that some in the original, actually. He was hidden to the person he was watching, but other people would have been able to see him no problem. And you'd think with his history at this point he'd be pretty recognizable and anybody looking would notice. Of course, Tommy's not home. Tommy lives right across the street. So why does she think, or how does she know the power's off? The thing was shaken and then it beeped like it was done. So she doesn't try to turn it back on, but she goes over and flips the breaker. What sign was the audience given that the breaker needed flipped? You turn your fucking washer on with the breaker? There's just pull the knob, bitch. See, Sassanies, not Nike Airs. Or those Sauconys. I don't know how the fuck you say that. It looks like sauce with no E and then an O-N-Y at the end, so I say Saucony. Saucony? So Michael was watching her, and then he must have seen or felt the presence of Loomis approaching, and he dipped the fuck out to wait for Loomis to go in and do his bidding. He's gonna pound this bitch out real quick, leave her crying, wipe his dick on the curtains, and be out. Just kidding. She really strongly resembles Jason Voorhees' mom. Especially when she's talking on the phone and she gets kind of that crazy grin. She's talking to her husband. You knew, and you didn't say anything. She looks so much like Mrs. Voorhees. See, Michael, like, he chooses not to go after Loomis when he's in these places. Loomis has carte blanche to just go to the Myers house and do all this stuff. It's really only when he directly interferes with, like, the main goal. You know, when he directly interferes with the killing of Lori or Jamie or something like that, that he gets it. And then he still never fully gets it. He just kind of gets it enough to deter him and be like... It's like Michael holds a special regard for Loomis. When he does hurt him, it's like he's just trying to discourage him from coming back. He doesn't really want to kill him. At least that's how I read it. And like, we know he was there watching her, and Loomis shows up. There's no shots of Michael or anything the whole time Loomis is there, and then Loomis leaves, and then Michael comes back. They're almost never in the same place at the same time. And I mean, I guess that's because Loomis is trying to locate him, but why does Michael run? Why doesn't Michael just handle the situation? What is it about him? This is a great speech from Loomis. Loomis is so good. It is a bit repetitive, though. At this point, this is the 5th movie Loomis has been in, and it's over and over with the fate and the blackest eyes and the evil. When I was younger, I would have thought this was hilarious, but now I think it's a bit vulgar because I have a 5-year-old and I don't want him outside playing and listening to this. The fucking Man in Black. Till things are brighter in the Halloween franchise, we have the Man in Black. See, Tommy even jump scares the kid there.
Sorry.
Michael doesn't jump scare Tommy in the original, though. He jump scares Lonnie, and Lonnie's the one who makes Tommy break his pumpkin. So that's a flash or a callback to that, but it doesn't play out exactly the same. See, now as soon as Loomis is gone, here comes Michael. And watch, she looks super crazy when it shows her close up, and she looks so much like Mrs. Voorhees. I'm telling you, fucking listen to me. If you're not gonna listen to me, Let me get your earwax clean.
John, I want you to come with us.
No, Deborah, you've lost it now. You know that? You've just lost it.
Like, is he in denial, or does he actually not believe her?
Your brother could never sell it because of what happened here, could he?
He doesn't give a fuck about anybody. Like, this is his wife telling him,
Didn't tell us.
look how, see, Mrs. Voorhees, totally Mrs. Voorhees. His wife's telling him that she can't live in this house because she's terrified of a legit history of what happened there. And he's like, fuck you, you're crazy. And now he's going to drink at work. Which is what a struggling real estate agent would do. He's so bad as a real estate agent, he had to sell himself a house to make his quota. So Michael went ahead and allowed her to go upstairs and pack her shit. She notices that axe is gone, and I like that she's at least intelligent enough of a character to remember that she put that axe there. This isn't just for the audience. This is her noticing, which I like. She's not entirely dumb. She's a little bit slow to react, but it's like, how do you even process that? Like, it's almost like she's really trying to remember if she did put that in there. I don't like the connection here.
Hello? Who is this?
How does she know he's standing back there, and the synchronicity with having the phone call, and then Michael's like sicked on her. See Sosthenes again. Sosthenes. Nike Airs. Continuity issues like that bother me. But I guess, was there ever a shot of her actually wearing the Sosthenes, or was that somebody else wearing different shoes and they cut it in to make it look like it was her? This is a great fucking shot. The fact that nobody saw that, like, he takes those sheets and puts them down in the washing machine so that the dad can find them later. He just cleans up the house. Everything's cool. But then where does he go? Is he just straight up hiding in the basement? Like, it's weird how he plays this push and pull game. He attacks and then he retreats. Then he attacks and then he retreats. It's never just like all out fucking slaughter.
Mom?
The door's locked from the inside. They didn't hear her. How does she get in? That Jansport backpack. Everybody wanted one of those. There is the section of sheet directly, or string directly in front of her that's empty. That could have been where that sheet was. I feel like there'd be blood on the ground. Like Michael did some landscaping. Maybe there should be some blood on the ground that we noticed but she doesn't notice, just to make it truly authentic. Because there would have been blood everywhere if he just hit that bitch with an axe. And now it's nowhere. He's so fucking tidy. He should start a cleaning service. He should make a YouTube video teaching people how to clean up a scene. Some fan should make a YouTube series of Michael trying to handle these bodies and then do bloopers. That chair is missing a thing on the... There should be 3. I don't know what to call them. Forget I said anything. Fuck me, right?
Mom?
So Michael's just chilling.
Danny?
We don't know where he went. We find out later that he's under the control of this fucking druid group and the man in black, and he's more like a stooge or a bouncer or a fucking guard dog than he is the source of pure evil.
Mom?
He's controlled by someone, which is just total dog shit. So they probably put him back on his leash and put him back underneath the fucking hospital. Like, he's supposed to be so badass, but then there's somebody that treats him like a bitch. He allows that. How have Tommy and Danny not heard her screaming? She's been yelling for people for 10 minutes. No cell phones, so if they weren't there, she would have no fucking idea how to get a hold of them. Anybody. She'd call her dad's work, probably. You kids today. You don't even know. There was something nice about that, though. You could be more focused on whatever you were doing. You were more in the moment, more relaxed, more able to absorb what was going on around you because you weren't so concerned about shit that was going on everywhere else.
Tommy boy.
You couldn't be. You listen to the radio or watch TV, but
She wasn't.
if you were outside walking, you were outside walking, and you were looking at the sidewalk, and you were looking at the trees and the dogs barking. You weren't walking at the sidewalk and watching something happen 1,000 miles away from you, or worried about people that you don't even know on the internet. Like, we didn't get information as fast, but we were able to absorb it better.
Honesty.
It's like the difference between a TV series. If you've ever watched a TV series episodically, as it was released, you have to wait a week between episodes, and then 6-9 months between seasons.
You don't really.
So you're giving it slow, and it's almost painfully slow. You want it so much faster, you just can't wait for the next episode. But you're giving time to reflect on what you see. And so episode by episode, you have a whole week to reflect on what you saw and absorb it, and then how it ties into the next one, and so on. And it becomes a period of your life, so to speak, where you were enthralled in this. And so you have 3-4 months where you're watching a TV show, and it's just all you can think about. And then a year later, you have 3-4 months where all you can think about is this TV show. Whereas if you binge watch it on Netflix and you go through the whole goddamn thing in a week and a half, it doesn't have the same time to sink in. You enjoy it, but afterwards you don't remember it the same, and you don't have the same understanding of all the nuances the way you would if you had watched it slowly. And that's the difference between then and the internet time.
There you go. What?
He's got a newspaper clipping of himself surviving the babysitter bloodbath. That clipping would have been from like 1978, and this is 1995. So the clipping is supposed to be 17 years old, and it looks like it was just made on a printer yesterday. I fucking hate this explanation for why Michael kills. How come there's one that looks like there's 2 Thorn logos on there?
Pieces of wood used in pagan rituals to portend future events and invoke magic. Among the ancient Druids.
Yeah, magic. Let's make Michael magic. That's gonna be scary.
Brought death to hundreds of thousands of people. According to Celtic legend, one child from each tribe was chosen to be inflicted with a curse of thorn to offer the blood sacrifices of its next of kin.
Yeah, see, I don't like, so one child from each tribe. So there's other people like Myers, and it's something that gets passed on, and there's going to be another one after him, and he's not special. Don't like it. I'm wondering if what they were trying to do, though, with all this is, like, because Michael reached a certain age in the story. Like, today, in Halloween 2018, he's 61 years old. The character is 61 years old in that storyline. He would have to be. So, you're going to run into a point where it becomes unbelievable that this character is still alive, just due to age, or that he's still functioning at such a high capacity. So I think that they're trying to find a way out of that. Way back then, they were trying to find a way out of that. They're trying to create somebody else being the killer. It's a curse that gets passed. Something to that. God damn it, I just splashed coffee on myself again. Something to that effect, because they saw down the road having an issue with maintaining this character at the age that he would be. But somewhere around, actually not somewhere around, Halloween H2O, they decided, fuck it, he's only like, what, 40 years old? 40-year-olds are capable of a lot, let's bring it. and they just let it go. And so now we have 61-year-old Michael still kicking ass. But how long can we maintain that and still go with him being the age that he is chronologically? Do we go back and try to explain something in the past? Do we introduce a new character, or do we just straight out make him immortal and he's 100 years old now? I don't like the idea of making him live longer than a normal person would live, just because the human body has certain restraints, and we've already seen that he actually ages. So, but it is curious how you push the character on from here, because you don't want it to pass to somebody else. Do we just start it over again? Just start the whole thing over again, kind of like how Rob Zombie did. That Rob Zombie just, god damn it, Rob Zombie. You had such an opportunity to get to start from the beginning and slow walk this thing all the way through Michael's whole life and give us some good shit. And instead, you just fucked the pooch and shit the bed all at the same time. And the baby came out with half a mask and long hair and smelling like farts, and it ruined your reboot of the franchise.
The evil spirits, especially the boogeyman.
What's the boogeyman?
Come on, man. Mrs. Blankenship.
That is one.
Totally inappropriate to
You know,
scare the shit out of this kid like this, but then again, she's one of the druidesses or whatever the fuck they are.
What are you talking about?
I was babysitting with him that night.
You were not.
Mikey Myers that lived
I hate
across
that
the
too. They're
street.
trying to add in that she was babysitting Michael that night.
The night he murdered his sister.
Michael heard a voice?
It told him to kill his
See? So that's kind of, that was brought in the novelization of the original, like I told you earlier. So what Danny's experiencing now is what that book said that Michael experienced when he was a little boy.
We got a real agenda here, and Barry is gonna help us get the message.
Oh, god damn it. Pause, my shit's buffering. What the fuck? Everybody pause your stuff. Pause it. I'm at 48 minutes and 59 seconds. God damn you. This has happened 3 fucking commentaries in a row. I got 2 of them out of the way without it happening, and then 3 of them in a fucking row. This shit. Oh, I'm pissed. Oh my god. Part of the issue, I suppose, is that these are all digital, and they're playing from my computer, which is in the other room and acts as a server, and sometimes the connection between the two just gets fucked up, and that's what's happened right now. My computer has somehow become disconnected from the internet, and that's why it stopped sending the movie over to the PS4. Motherfucker. I apologize, guys. Hitches like this happen. I could put a college student in a very gentle chokehold every time this happens. Just release, I don't want to be aggressive. I don't want to make the little fuck shit his pants, but just a little gentle. Okay, we're playing again. So actually now I'm at 48:57, so I'm gonna hit play, and in 2 seconds it'll be caught up to where I was when it stopped playing. Thank you so much, anybody who hung on through that. I'm barely hanging on through that. It is 1:25 in the morning here, and I'm chugging away. Okay, you ready? Play in 3, 2, 1, play.
Start on me now. We got a real agenda here, and
She's-
Barry is gonna help us get the message out.
Barry's walking on stage right now. They meant for him to look like the Man in Black here.
Hey, look.
Hey, look, it's a douchebag. This teenage couple is so reminiscent of the era too. They're such a cliched teenage couple for back then. He's got the long hair, he's kind of grunge, he wants to be gangster, he thinks it's cool. And she's like super activist type, cute, understated. This fucking guy, he got drunk at work and now he's, where's the dinner? So he doesn't believe that she was actually going to leave. And he comes to think that she did, but we know better.
God damn it. She actually left.
Ooh. So Michael cuts the power. Somehow cuts the power to the whole house, but the washing machine keeps working. They don't really explain that. But the character actually makes note of it. He says, "Power's out. How is the washing machine still on?" Sorry guys, I had to take a massive piss. I couldn't hold that shit any longer. I was about to die. God damn it. That's a cigarette for all you fucking squares out there. Ain't no squares in my circle, I cut them out. So I mistakenly, first time I saw this, thought that he had done something with the body in there and that's why it was all bloody. But then I just realized that he took the bloody sheets down from outside and put them in the washing machine. So Michael does laundry. That would be a great fan video to see. Michael doing the laundry. Just raking up the bloody leaves. So now this dude's realizing maybe he should have taken his wife a little more seriously, and it's time to shit your pants, bro. Just go ahead and throw those in the washing machine. The producer's cut of this kill is so much better. I hate the way that his head explodes. It's just so campy and over the top and stupid to me. I like, it's a good kill. I like the flashing lights and all that, but then when his head explodes, I just put my head down and shake it. It's like, come on, man. And that was changed later. Like I said, in the producer's cut, he just gets electrocuted and died. His head doesn't explode from getting electrocuted? Come on. Coupled with the fact that Michael would have been getting electrocuted too. So again, this radio host, he's just super over the top, vulgar, crude, but that's the character that disc jockeys played then, at least the big ones. For you youngins out there that don't know what a disc jockey is, it's the person on the radio who talks in between the songs. They used to host radio shows, what you would call a podcast, where people talk a lot and do interviews and such. We used to have really condensed, shitty versions of those called radio shows. And the person who did them was the DJ or the host, such as Howard Stern. Podcasts are like a far superior form to radio shows. Because if you actually want the information, then why not dig in deep? Get in there. Get your fucking hands dirty. Don't give me this 5-minute skim over the top bullshit where everybody's concerned about how they look and how they come off. Just let them be. Just let it go. Let's just see what happens here. So she knows that they live in the Myers house, but he somehow doesn't. See, this is the weird thing. The town knows. The town vandalizes, puts signs up in the yard. The dad knows, but somehow the rest of his family doesn't know. Doesn't seem that likely. And the idea that a syndicated radio station would be able to pack up their production and drive down the street like that on 5 minutes notice is totally ridiculous. Like, that's a retarded thought. There's no way that they would be able to logistically do that, especially in 95. It's not like today where I'm recording this on my cell phone. I could carry this anywhere. I could pause it, drive down the street, and start recording it again. They didn't have those capabilities then. So this guy really is a douchebag. Psycho, sociopath, whatever the fuck. Narcissist. And he's about to get it. He just called Michael a pussy. Somehow, Michael's gonna wrap him up with Christmas lights and hang him in a tree and nobody's gonna see at this Halloween festival. Which is a bit absurd to me, I gotta say. I don't like it at all. I mean, it looks cool. It's a okay idea, the raining red thing and everything, but the idea of him actually doing that and pulling it off is fucking absurd.
Where is everyone? Mom? Dad?
He just discovered that Michael Myers used to live in this house. There's no power, he can't find anyone, and he's like, I'm horny. Let's get down. Granted, she's got them young perky titties, and she's DTF, but I don't know.
As his sister and her boyfriend made love. Then he crept inside, picked up a huge butcher knife. She turned around, and he stabbed her.
Cut it out, Beth. I really didn't know that Michael Myers lived in my house.
These guys are going to develop English accents and become podcasters in 2018. Reappear in the new film. JK. What's interesting is H2O is looked at as a reboot, but in H2O, Jamie Lee Curtis mentions that her character Laurie Strode faked her death and then moved to California to become a teacher and changed her name. So is the implication there supposed to be that we're still along the same storyline as 4, 5, and 6, and that Jamie actually does exist in the H2O timeline, but Laurie faked her death in order to get away and she left Jamie behind? Is that a possibility? I'll address that when we get to H2O. I don't know why I'm bringing it up now. We've got this raining red scene. It's creepy. This little girl is dumb as fuck. It doesn't rain red. It's not warm. You know what blood is. And the implication that Michael could have climbed up in this tree and hung this dude up and wrapped him up in Christmas lights is remedial at best. So if the curse is going to get passed on to Danny and the baby's supposed to be the final sacrifice, never mind. We're in the actual final cut. I'm not going to talk about the other version in that way. These two decided to fuck even though the radio station was supposed to be there in 5 minutes, in theory, with a whole park full of people. They took time to light candles.
Watch out for the boogeyman.
That's a girl's version of a quickie. You take time to light candles. A dude's version of a quickie is on the hood of a car. So Michael somehow made it in. I guess the bathroom isn't. It's not a master suite. The bathroom's not in the bedroom. Because Michael made it into the bathroom without being detected by her. And he's having slightly homoerotic feelings for this dude as he hands him a towel. Not over the top. He's not willing to break the hymen. He doesn't think he's quite gonna go anal, but he might put the tip of his dick in his mouth. Oh, he's pulling his hair. What? Michael? God damn it. Told you not to break your toys.
Mommy? Hold on a second.
She's distraught because she realizes that they're over in the house and she knows what's going on with Michael. And now we got the cursed psychic connection shit with Danny. There's stuff on the ceiling, so he lays on the floor and reads articles.
No, no one is. What's wrong? Is Tim with you?
I really wish that there was a thing that was developed so I could lay flat on my back on the floor and still use my phone up by my face without having my arms in an uncomfortable position. Like, the interface for my phone needs to be, like, on my thigh so I could just have my arm resting comfortably and control it. The way this scene plays out is totally dope. She's watching from across the street. Michael looks decent. Those are pretty vicious knife strikes. The camera lens is the... oh god, that would be fucking horrible as a parent if you realized that your kid was about to walk into that house. Why does your front yard look like a junkyard? The jack-o'-lantern on the mantle. I've never had a lit-up pumpkin inside my house. Is that normal? Do people do that? That happens fairly often in the Halloween movies, and I've never seen somebody with a jack-o'-lantern in their house. Okay, this chick is wise. She's picked up a fire poker and she's heading up. Reasonable choice for a weapon. It's got a sharp tip. It's kind of heavy, but you can wield it reasonably well. Good impact. You just got to be worried you can't overextend yourself with a weapon like that, especially if he's got a small, light knife. I don't like the way this hallway looks. It just looks like such a piece of shit. I guess it's supposed to be the old Myers house and they just moved in, and I guess it's renovated. Compared to what the old Myers house looked like in Halloween 5, they've come a long way. But I like how they repaired it all to make it look like shit. Like, in 5, they've got Jamie in that bedroom upstairs trying to lure Michael in. Everything's covered in spider webs. It's all boarded up. So they did a lot of work to make it look this bad. Michael didn't have a lot of time with these two. He knew that she was coming. So he just kind of used them as... He's kind of bashed them together a bit. He's like, weren't you guys gonna fuck? We could have a lot more Halloween theme right now. A lot more of the original score. That's one of my problems with this version. It would be okay if I didn't know the other version existed, but there's a mesh there between the two that's not the perfect movie, but a much better movie. So not exactly happy with how Michael moved there, but we're on the slightly dumpier Michael. Barry kicks ass. Are you gonna run or are you gonna go at him? You're doing it half-assed. This is like when somebody is going to let you in, but they kind of slow down, but they don't slow down, but they, like, commit. Do what you're gonna do. If you're gonna go at him, go at him. If you're gonna run, run. Right now you're in the in-between, and the in-between is where you get got. Can't be indecisive here. Now she runs. You could have been far, far away. Dear God, make me a bird so I can fly far, far, far away from here. She fucks him up pretty good. And that was a reasonably shot fall down the stairs. Oh, Tommy drives a Jeep Wrangler. Only douchebags drive those, Tommy. That's a fuckboy car. And now it's turned into a car for chicks who want too much attention. Michael looks like he's laying in a super uncomfortable position. His neck's gonna be fucked up in the morning. It's like when you first move out of your parents' house and nobody's really there to kind of tell you when you can drink or how much to drink or to stop drinking or anything like that. And you're hanging out with your buddies, one of them's 21, they get you some booze and you just go at it. The next morning you wake up laying on the floor at the bottom of the stairs like that. There's a piece of pizza on your chest. You're wearing one sock. You don't have your undershirt on, but you have your other shirt back on. It's like you took all your shirts off and then put one on. Yeah. I feel like Michael shouldn't have reacted like that to the smack in the arm with the fire poker. It should have taken a little more to get him to let go of that. See, they just kind of metaled it up and made it an alt-rock version. Because it's bum, 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 bum. Ding, 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 bum, bum, ding, ding, bum. Ding ding bum bum, ding 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 bum bum, ding bum bum, ding bum bum. I did a horrible job. I'm not a musician. Fuck you, man. Why are you judging me?
Get him upstairs! Now!
Where's the baby?
There never seem to be any innocent bystanders around. In these moments when Michael's walking across the street with a kitchen knife in his hand. Oh. Does this dude do some kind of a voice box or something? How does he make his voice sound like that in person? And how does he throw his voice into Danny's mind? He's a warlock of some kind. And now we've been kind of beating around the bush about how ridiculous this story is going to get, and we have to bring it to a culmination, and that's going to start right now. I love the performance that Donald Pleasance delivers in all these movies, but you gotta wonder sometimes if he was just like sitting in his trailer with his head in his palms like, what the fuck did they do to this franchise and what did I get myself into? He still goes out and does his work and delivers his performance, but this shit gets so bad. These guys in these outfits, ugh. They just threw her out the window. And now we just cut. They have to reverse explain that they've been drugged and they don't know where she is.
It's his game. And I know where he wants to play it.
Oh. So for some reason they took her with them. And she wakes up in this strange kind of a psychedelic nightmare setting. It's just got a low budget look to it. It's very Tales from the Crypt-esque. It's also kind of a cliched, scary thing to wake up in a room that you're locked in and have no idea how you got there. Scary thought, but... Employee entrances always have to be in the darkest, shadiest looking areas. It never seems to be an area meant to make employees feel comfortable. Why is there just bags of trash out? Ooh, so sanitary.
That's Loomis, you know that can't stop Michael.
Nothing will stop Michael.
He just says it without breaking stride. Just nothing will stop Michael.
You stay here. Don't go anywhere until I come back. Win.
Oh, sorry. So Loomis is now super focused on Wynn because he realized that Wynn has been the facilitator. And despite the fact they're not used or shown at any other point in this version of the film, he's got his stupid charcoal briquettes in his hand there. Which is the worst part of
First one to see it.
the other cut. The two worst parts.
Recognized its power.
They are one of the two worst parts.
Evil. Pure. Uncorrupted.
So I guess the thought is that Michael arrived there as pure evil and they somehow took control of him and harnessed that.
My favors. This
And that just doesn't make sense to me.
here at the dawn of a new age.
How did you get him under your thumb?
And I'm
How did you get to be in control of Michael?
I thought Michael was the monster. But you.
You're a madman.
We're ready for you, Dr. Wen.
Well, we'll give Dr. Loomis a little time to think about it.
So he basically explained that he's been the overseer and the protector of Michael. So just the idea that Michael needs to have a protector and that they come out and say that. And so he's been doing that for Michael and he now wants to pass that on to Loomis, which doesn't make any sense because Loomis looks like he's about 25 years older than that guy. How long could Loomis possibly take this for? Loomis is going to have to start looking for a replacement immediately. Does it make you immortal? Like, what the fuck? And then they knock Loomis over the head and they leave him there and say that's going to be his office soon enough. So Tommy just walked into the wide open maximum security door.
Kara.
And he's looking for Kara. I never can remember her name. As we get deeper and deeper into this, we start to just get fed insignificant characters whose names, etc., just are not memorable. Oof, creepy ass jump scare. It's the landlord from Kingpin. Mail it in! So why is this bitch down here and what if Michael just decided to kill her? Did he stab her? She's just bleeding. She has her period out of her belly button. I'm not exactly sure. Is her shirt manufactured by Tampax? Does Playtex manufacture great blood absorbing shirts? It's my Playtex shirt just in case I run out of period or tampons and I'm on the go. Just in case I'm in the woods and there's bears. It's my super absorbent blood shirt. Oh, no, Michael's been released. He's allowed to come out and hunt. This is a peculiar reaction from Paul Rudd, but I kind of like it. Because it's a disbelief, like, what delirious hysteria kind of moment. Like, oh fuck, we really need to get moving. Shit or get off the pot time. Are we going to handle our business or are we going to handle our business? Take bigger swings, man. It does you no good to do short shots quick. You need to do big, hard shots. That's what she said. Michael moves fucking slow. He looked like he was 15 feet away when he started that walk, and it took 30 seconds. Oh, I like to grab through the hair of the prison bars, though. And those... I don't know why we needed to see his hand move there. We could have just cut to them walking. We know that Michael's not dead from that. It's a fucking shotgun in the shoulder. Loomis shot him 6 times in the original. Then he gets shot in the eyes twice. He gets stabbed in the neck with a knitting needle, stabbed in the eye with a coat hanger, blown up. We know that that thing's not going to kill him. Oh, he gets shot 1,000,000 times at the end of Halloween 4. Loomis beats the shit out of him at the end of Halloween 5. And then they put him in a cell wearing his mask. There's just certain situations where Michael doesn't belong. And you can't put him in a cell and show him wearing a mask. You can't have him standing alongside a gathering of people like he's the groom at a wedding waiting for the bride to walk down the aisle. You can't just have him sitting idly by like that in the getup and the makeup. It doesn't play right. It looks stupid. It becomes silly at that point. All the things that people thought were going to be wrong with the first one, or the reasons that people criticized it, or that people who were making it didn't really believe that it was going to play, all those reasons are, or all those ideas are why you don't show him in certain situations in the later films like this. Like this plays, this works, it's scary. But like the seance scene or the sacrifice scene where Michael's just kind of standing there like a trained dog at the throne, you know, at the feet of Wynn, that is bullshit. It just takes away from how scary he's supposed to be, that you can turn him on and off. Somebody can actually control what he does. Because if they can control him, then you just, in theory, would have to become that person and then just not allow him to do anything. Right? Wynn could have just wrapped him up in chains and hung him from a bridge. I'm starting to peter out. I apologize. It's almost 2 in the morning. I recorded a review right before this. I do like this scene, and this was added. This wasn't in the producer's cut. And it really helps with Michael's viciousness. I don't know if that was a scalpel he first reaches for, but then he reaches for this giant machete fucking thing. And I've referred to the police station scene or slaughter that's in 4. We don't get to see it happen, but we see the aftermath. And I think that was because it would have been difficult to shoot and make it look realistic. The way that this doctor slaughter is shot is one of the only ways that could have been shot and made it play right. But these doctors aren't equipped or trained. They don't have guns, and they're not prepared to deal with aggressive people, criminals, things of that nature. They're not expecting Michael to do this. The police station, if he would have come up on them, like, how many could he have gotten down before they just lit him the fuck up with bullets? And how is he supposed to just lure them one by one into various, because that's not how this when you see the final product of the police station kill, it doesn't look as if that's how it would have played out. It looks like a tornado came through there, but that's not how like nobody got their gun out of their holster. How did they manage that? This one plays with the doctors because they don't seem as inherently capable of defending themselves. Michael's walking fast right now. Michael normally doesn't walk that fast. It's like he's pissed. But Wynn was in there and he didn't kill Wynn. All these pipes and shit are part of the infrastructure of the building, so that means that all this was built when the building was built. He's gonna use this dude's head to open this fucking gate. Which makes you wonder what the points of the gates even are. If he can use somebody's head to open it, he could break it down with his hands. Doesn't make it easier because somebody's head's there. Again, the maximum security door that opens with ease. Ooh, Michael tricky. He knows the lay of the land. The lighting in there, he looked a little bit fucked up in the way he's walking. What is this green shit, and how does Paul Rudd know that it's going to make Michael unconscious? That I don't get. If any of you guys have listened to before, occasionally, you might know that I have a sink drain in my living room that gets clogged, and I have to unclog it during recordings. And this is one of those moments, so just bear with me for a second while I get this going. That worked a little, not 100%, but I think we'll get it on the next bowl. That is a huge pipe. That would be so heavy, she wouldn't be able to swing that with any accuracy. It would land with decent force just because of the weight, but not a good weapon for her to choose. Excuse me. What is this green shit? See, we're back to the lighting that makes the mask look kind of lavender again. People who have survived experiences with Michael or have had multiple interactions with him start to gain a level of comfort where they feel like they can talk to him and get his attention. And it seems to work too. It's kind of curious. See, up close you can see the texture and the coloring is just not quite right. Uh-oh, you done goofed. So he just stabbed him with like 9 of those. And it's no reaction seemingly at all. But later, he pops him off with 1 more, and instantly Michael falls down. I guess we got a little bit of a drunk. He just took a shot of Jack Daniels. Actually, Evan Williams. He just took a shot of Evan Williams, and the taste alone made him gag. He's not going to throw up because he's too drunk, but the taste of the Evan Williams might make him yak. That's got to be some kind of a prop pipe that's made to be really light, because there's no way that skinny girl is swinging that big of a real pipe around. No sexual. Actually, little girls can't handle a decent-sized pipe, if I'm being honest. I've been around the way, and actually I haven't been around that many ways. Let's just say I prefer petite women, and they can handle it just fine. Is that TMI? Got that big dick energy. So that's a Pedialyte bottle? What's a recovery drum? Is this a video game? If Michael makes it to the recovery drum, after this, that's where he respawns if you kill him. This kind of half-ass stiff, like, you could reach him if you bend down. I've heard that as an audio clip in something, and I'm not sure where. See, hits him with the 1 more, and then just starts going to town, and that seems to be enough. It's more realistic that Paul Rudd would be able to swing that thing around, because he's just going to be stronger than she is. Still, it would be hard. You'd get tired as fuck doing that. That thing would weigh more than a bat, I would think. So just, 10, 20 of those, you're going to be so tired. I like how he goes to town on him here. It's the right thing to do. Seems like a good choice for, a confrontation with Michael. And how he doesn't believe he's dead and goes back. But I don't understand the green slime coming out of the face. Michael Green's, or bleeds split pea soup. Like, that's where you're starting to get into the Jason Voorhees superhuman he's still supposed to be at least somewhat a person at this point. He doesn't bleed green slime. What is this, gack? Are we on the double dare challenge? What business did he have to attend to? I've always wondered in both versions why he goes back in. So here's the mask laying on the floor. It doesn't have any green slime on it. And we hear Loomis screaming. And the assumption is that Michael is still alive and decided to take off his mask that he never wants to take off. He loves his mask. But he took it off so that he could go kill Donald Pleasance. And that's the end of the film. And that's the whole that we were... Whoa, Danny's real name is Devin. That's my name. Crazy. There wasn't a lot of people, a lot of boys, especially back then, named Devin, spelled D-E-V-I-N. It's a rarity. I wonder how old he is. We were about the same age, probably. See, so now that song that we had playing earlier in that scene that I mentioned, it sounded like it was coming out of a speaker in a park, is here in the end credits, because they had to license it, so they might as well use it. So that's the hole we're left in, with all the Thorn bullshit, and there being a protector of Michael and a cult, and ultimately Tommy and the baby survive. So the baby would still be part of Michael's bloodline. You'd think Tommy would be in the crosshairs. Loomis died in real life. Donald Pleasance, rest in peace. Thank you for all the work. He died in real life, so they weren't going to be able to continue that. So the previous version actually had Loomis living. The screaming wasn't because Michael was killing him, it was for a different reason. But they edited it together to make it look like Michael killed him, and they just put the screaming in there, and it worked out well. So Loomis wouldn't have been in the movie going forward. Tommy, I guess, would have been the new Loomis, which probably was what they were going for in both versions, I'm guessing. Both cuts. Tommy working towards the new Loomis, being the new Loomis, and then the baby, I'm not even sure what gender it was. We'd have to wait and ask it. The baby, boy or girl, would be the new target of Michael, and so they would have Tommy as the guide of said baby to kind of work as the new Loomis and move along with the story that way. But I'm so glad that we didn't go forward with the druids and the thorn and somebody controlling Michael and him being a guard dog and all this shit just being a thing that goes out and kills and then comes back and hides in his cell or sits in his cell until you decide to open the gate, and there being a protector of him. I'm not a fan of any of those concepts. This movie had a lot of good things. They worked in some guitar and some good change-ups to the score and the music that I didn't mind. There were some elements, though, where, like in the previous one, or in the producer's cut, they used a lot more of the classic John Carpenter score. And I feel like this cut was missing some of that. I don't necessarily think they needed to do it straight up the way the other one did. Some of the guitar parts and heavy metal parts work, but it was a little bit too much. They needed to do a little bit more of the original score. Michael looks so much better than he did in the last one. He has a much better mask. He moves better. They stay more true to the actual character. They bring in Tommy, who's a throwback. That's an actual believable storyline. We still have Loomis there. That's great. They bring in the Myers house. They work in the Strodes. All that is great. It's the man in black, the druids, Danny hearing the voice. I guess they felt compelled to try to pick up all the pieces that they were left with from 5 and make it make sense and move forward. They really should have just rebooted it right then. It would have done wonders for the franchise, I think, if they had not made this one and turned it into a reboot. But I don't know that that was a thing then. We hadn't really gotten into reboots. Like, that kind of started in my lifetime, where they just take movies that are old and just remake the exact thing, or make kind of an alternative storyline on the same thing and even call it the same thing. You know, we started having Bad News Bears, and it was like we ran out of ideas, so we just had to start making shit from the past. They hadn't really gotten to that point yet when this movie was made. So they decided not to reboot it and try to make all these weird pieces fit that 5 left them with, which 5 is just a huge, enormous pile of steaming fucking rhinoceros shit. Now that is a huge pile of shit. Yeah, so this had a lot of, just the fact that they decided that they were going to continue on the storyline from 5 and try to make any sense out of it was, I guess, their inherent flaw. And like I said before, he borrowed a lot of the backstory from the novelization of the original Halloween and worked that into Michael's past, as referenced by the girl who said she was, the old lady who said she was babysitting, in which we know that's not true. And then they kind of made Danny the new Michael because he's experiencing the things that Michael experienced as a child in that book. The kind of the curse of the druids, or the man who was murdered. So I just don't like any of that. I don't like Michael being connected to anything. I like him being singular. I like there being the inkling, or the hint of possibility that he can be explained, but we never quite get there. And again, he's singular. He's his own thing. There's nothing connected to him. He's not connected to anything. He is the embodiment of evil. If you make him a part of this cult, then they as a collective are the embodiment of evil, and he's just a part of it. He's just a piece. Of course, there's a bunch of other flaws related to this movie, but in the other cut, I'm not really going to address those now. There are problems with the way Michael looks. Again, the mask looks kind of lavender in certain scenes. It's got a weird texture to it. It's contoured a little bit too much. The length of the hair isn't really right. The way the hair sits on it just doesn't come off right. George Wilbur did a better job of Michael in this than he did in 4. This is, again, of all the... So we had the first stint, which is 1 and 2, and then we have the Season of the Witch travesty, and then we come back and we have the return of Michael Myers. So since he is quote-unquote returned, this is the best he looked, which kind of sucks, because it's not the worst one. I think that 5 is worse, but if he had looked like this in Halloween 4 would have been a much better movie, and then maybe they wouldn't have rushed out such a piece of shit in Halloween 5. I don't understand the decision to rush out Halloween 5 after 4, but get all new people and do it in this kind of low budget rushed way. If 4 had success, you should have taken your time, which is really what I hope they do with the new 2018, whatever sequels they make from there. So yeah, that's basically where we're at with the commentary on this, and I'll be doing a review track on it sometime in the next couple weeks. I appreciate you listening through. Oh, this is the Avarice Trading Channel. Catch me Avarice Trading on Instagram. Subscribe, like, all that good shit. Until the